Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. My buddy Rhett is out there still. My son's dog spent the night, so it's a bit crazy in here. But I did realize that since it's beautiful outside and since it's um, let's see, started, and since the dog's already here, I could have left them locked out in our backyard and our porch. It's real nice out there. They enjoy it, but they I could have done that, and that would have been cool. And then I could have brought Rhett back here. On the good news is that we did finally finish up all those nuts. So the nuts are gone. The old set of nuts are gone. It's time for the new nuts. I gave her the last nut this morning in her cage, and she just threw it out. She didn't want it. And so then I opened up the new nuts and poured them into the container and gave her like one of her favorite nuts, and she gobbled it all up. So, but anyways, we are dealing with a new thing for me, and that is detached nodes. I know that I would say that literally, if there's 1,000 web applications made today, let's say there's 1,000 web applications today, detached nodes are probably relevant in one of them. And out of the 999, it doesn't freaking matter. But if you're gonna, there's a few scenarios where detached nodes really matter. One is probably if you're going to be running in some sort of virtual machine, something that's very, very limited memory and stuff like that, then detached nodes um, could be could actually really affect that, right? But if people are running on a regular computer, they're just using the application in that way, then it probably doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll have applications that maybe need to, 1,000 of them need to run at a time, 2,000, 10,000 need to run at a time. Detached nodes might matter in that scenario. Now for me, I think they matter for this specific project because the intention is that I'll have like 1,000, that this may be a very long running application in which people move around a lot within it, and that probably the detached nodes could add up and become a problem. So I'm trying to get rid of that. And I learned that using the map menu, anything that uses an overlay, so it pops up, and then if you click around outside of it, everything is inactivated, and you've got the thing. Anything that uses that apparently will automatically create detached nodes. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, there are some things you can do about it, but like if you other new problems are very likely to present themselves, and I really didn't want to go down that path. But so now I have this new look, and it goes like that. And really, I think it looks okay. I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I think, actually, for like a sort of a more of a utility, not utility, but more of a productivity program, I do like sort of less styling. Um, in more like utilitarian sort of look. And I think this is, if you've ever, this is probably the most utilitarian look I've ever seen. It would be nice though if the add viz and the reflow were aligned with the little icon. And that is just like a lot of aligning icons with text is always an interesting challenge that I've seen in a million places. And it's a CSS specific issue typically. And quite often it has to do with something called line height. And line height is kind of a weird, so for some, in the last 20 or so years, the word weird has gotten a negative association with it. It didn't used to have a negative association with it, but it's sort of an unusual, interesting property that isn't particularly relevant in web applications, but was insanely relevant apparently in print, and it's sort of a carryover from an older technology. So we got that, and then inspect. So basically, what I want is for this viz to line up with this matte icon. But as you can see, like the matte icon, the viz is like very low, and the little blue around it, let me see if I can click around it. This little blue, if I hit this little thing here, the blue area around there is that, and so it's tiny, and then the blue area around here is big, and it seems to be like there's no telling if it's bottom of the line, middle of the line. It doesn't matter because its space is so limited. I've never really noticed some of these properties down here. It's kind of a shame that you can't quite click on it. You can only look at them, but never really noticed those properties. But it is interesting that it's not keyboard focusable. The span itself is 457 by 15. It spans, the height and the width of a span is generally driven by the content within it in almost all cases. So if we can change the content to be different, then we will, then that, should solve things. So if I click on that, then it's over here, and we can see what sort of the actual properties are. And so we see like it's got this line height of normal, and I don't know if we can control it, but let's click over here on styles. And I think sometimes what happens is if you can set the line height to something. So right now I set the line height to 100 px, right? So I don't know what that other thing was. And as you see, it changed the whole button and everything. So I think what we want to do, the first thing we want to do, and sometimes this is enough, just getting the line height right. So if we set the line height to 15 pixels, click on that, and then let's make it like 16 pixels and see what happens. So it does not seem to be doing what I want. I was kind of hoping that would do it. I think what I almost always end up doing to fix this is setting the position to absolute, well, no, relative, and then top to negative 2px, and then just keep on, and that, so now they're sort of lined up, and I think that's nice. I'm curious what and I don't know if I need to actually create the, yeah, see it. So I have to set the position to relative and the top to negative px. Okay, so this is our span, and this is our, let's see. So we want to probably come up with like a button, a class to name this that makes sense. So I'm going to call it button text. So that's what this is. This is our button text, and anything that has this class, we want to set the position of it. Now, line height used to almost always be the fix for this, and for some reason, it isn't the fix anymore. And I wasn't quite as into understanding things back then as I am now. Button text. And then one of the things you really need to consider when you make a decision like this, or when you do something like this, is like, is this a global kind of thing? Like, are we going to have icons and stuff like this all over the place, or is this just for this one? If it ends up being global, we really need to come back and remove this and make it more of a global. But for now, I think I'm just going to set it at this local level. So we want to make it position relative, and then top, and I forgot what it was. I think it was -4px. Now, again, this is kind of one of those things where it's like, if suddenly you decided, oh, okay, I want to change the way all icons look, it could end up breaking this. Another thing that could end up breaking this is like doing an upgrade to Angular material. Sometimes when you do an upgrade to Angular material, they sort of modify the look of things, and it could have an impact. Fortunately, this is highly focused, so it will be very, very simple to fix this kind of thing. There might be a bunch of them, but it would be probably pretty straightforward to find them all and fix them. So let's see what this does for me. So that looks really good, I think. Maybe it was 6px. Let's try 6px. And I love the fact that I don't have to reload to see my changes happen here. I don't know if you noticed that, but like as I change things, so if I make it -15, see it's way up there, those all shifted up, and then make it -5, and they all shifted down. I feel like that looks good. I almost feel like the font size should be a little bigger, but for now I'm not worried about that. What next? What next? What next? I think I would like to just learn something. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT. And so I have an HTML button with an icon and and a span that has text. So I guess we could just throw that and see what it says about that, because it may actually give us some pretty good. It's 850, so like aligning the icon and the text. Yeah, so this is how I'm getting the text to align. I'm just curious. Basically what I'm asking it for is for its opinion on this method of fixing it, but more of a hack than a clean alignment. A more robust use is to use Flexbox on the button so that the icon and text align naturally without having to manually shift things around. Okay, so it's saying that if I say that the button is a flex, that is so wild, because this is just a weird thing to me, is that like this seems like such an elegant little efficient so I think I'm more of a utilitarian by nature. I'm more about the utility, and it's just like this is literally 4 lines of code to maintain. This is like 4 times as much. Okay, so things like a lot more maintain. Someone has to have come up with that answer. Totally fair. See, oh, okay. Okay, so then this gave button minimal. I'm taking this personally without hacks. Um, so it's saying that, and you know what, that would be a way better way to do it, I think. Definitely open to trying this. Hit save. I do like that better, actually. It did the button is a little bit smaller, and it does feel like I don't think we need this. It does feel like a more like likely way to that is probably going to work, and it does feel like that it's probably going to work even if they change other aspects of the CSS inside there, and it also seems like it's going to work if I change like the heights. Like if I change the font height and all that in the future, I would have to then tweak the position. So I do think this is a much better way. I don't know why it gave me that other one to begin with. Now it's saying that I could target the icon itself and add like a little bit of space in there. I don't understand the so we could do this, right? So let's just try that. I don't understand the desire to use rems over pixels. I've never quite understood that, and it doesn't actually seem to be doing anything. Yeah, so I don't think that even works. I can see why that would work, but it doesn't work. So we could be like icon, any icon. No, we're looking at the wrong thing. Let's see, any. Well, okay, so we could, yeah, any matte icon. So we could target matte icons, I think. So we could say inside of a button, if there's a matte icon. Now this isn't actually CSS. This is a SCSS, and then the SCSS compiler will convert this into CSS. So let's just say margin left, right. So we want the right-hand margin to be 10px. And see, it made it like too big to fit into the 400, the width that we set up here, this min width. And there's probably a better way to do that too. And it would be kind of cool to not have to set the min width up. So let's make this 5 pixels. And then let's increase our min width to 160. Let's see if that. So that gave us some space. Now why Ramo? Why not use pixels? Instead of rem. I've asked this question literally 1,000 times of human beings, and every answer I ever got was stupid. It's just like, you could just tell they were just making shit up. Or maybe I didn't understand. Comes out of scalability and accessibility. Pixels, absolute unit does not scale. If user changes their browser-based font size. So this is a pretty good argument. Fine for tiny fixed visual tweaks on an icon. Rem, root, em relative to the font size. So basically, I think what it's saying is that if I zoom in, that the other way will kind of scale in a more appropriate way, but it doesn't seem to be true. It seemed like that scaled just fine. So it doesn't actually code. It doesn't actually look at websites. So like all I can do is say what it's read. So this is not true. Okay, so let's see if it could do. Trolling. So I have this CSS for controlling my menu. Position, size. But I don't really like using the min width. So I think this is a perfect example of where like I can get things done without ChatGPT, but so position width, okay, right is 0. Inline size, max width. Okay, so I mean, what I'm mostly trying to prevent is wrapping. Oh, that's pretty cool. Let's see if that works. Sometimes it'll give you answers that just don't work. Yeah, that's nice. That is perfect. You notice it is a little smaller, so it's being super efficient, so I don't have to eyeball it and make sure that it's right. So then if I make this 15, it doesn't start wrapping all of a sudden. 10. All right, so, oh, it's 9. I gotta go. Bye. Happy coding.